Hello, sports fans. Welcome to WestCon Sports Zone, the newest show shot right here at Western Connecticut State University. My name is Patrick Higgins, and alongside me is my co-host, Chris Walker. We are going to cover the world of professional sports, and we're going to go over how the WCSU men's and women's basketball teams are doing this season.
Just a reminder, you can catch the Sports Zone on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. on 91.7 WXCI, as well as on Charter Cable on Channel 192.
Let's get started. All right, Chris. This week, we're going to start off how the men's and women's basketball teams are doing here at Western Connecticut State University. How about you start off with the women?
All right. Well, the women have won their last 5 games, and they have a record which is 9 games over 500. A very, very different record from where they were 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it was.
Now, they're coming off of 2 big wins, a 66-45 win against Rhode Island and a 1-point-64-63 win over Keene State, a division rival. Same conference, and that's a big win for Western. Now, a couple players in particular are making this happen. Their only senior, Caroline Breza, and Colleen Kosker, who wears number 3. Now, Breza is a great all-around talent, and Kosker shoots the 3 ball better than anybody on the team.
Oh, and you always want to have that person who can shoot behind the arc and a great presence down low. Now, Caroline Breza is scoring 15.5 points per game this season, and Colleen Kosker is scoring 15.3 points per game. So they're both scoring at the same average, but they are just 2 great players. And if you want to get to the NCAA tournament, you need your best players to get you there. Now, last show, I said that I didn't think the women were going to make the NCAA tournament. And I'm sort of eating my words right now because, like you said, they're 9 games over 500. Breza's scoring good, Koster's scoring good, and they're on a 5-game win streak. That is great for the WCSU girls team. Now, right now, in the Little East Conference for the women, UMass Dartmouth is 9-3 and is at number 1. Number 2 is Eastern Connecticut, 8-4. Southern Maine is in the 3rd spot at 8-4. UMass Boston is at 7-5, and they're in the 4th spot. And 5th in the Little East is Western Connecticut at 6-6. So they're not in a bad spot right now. And I honestly think if Breza and Koster keep playing like they are, they'll make the playoffs. They're 9 games.
No doubt.
I think you have to be at least 9 games over 500 to even get in the NCAA tournament.
Right. That's a good mark to be at. You know, that'll pretty much get you in there.
Oh, it will. Now let's move on to the men. The men aren't having a season like the women because right now they are 5 games over 500. That's not fantastic if you look at all of it. Now, Bobby Bynum is scoring 12.1 points per game. Kendall Marquez is scoring 12 points per game. And Jeremiah Washington is scoring 10.9 points per game. They're not doing bad, but I know you got an opinion on Washington.
I know. Jeremiah Washington it's 10.9 points per game. That's definitely not where he wants to be. He can do a lot better than that, and I've seen that from watching some of the games, as well as Bobby Bynum. Bynum has not played every game this season. He's been out for various reasons, and that's why his point production is down. Kendall Marquez is really the only consistent force for WestCon, although he missed a few games earlier in the year. So a lot of inconsistency for the men.
So do you think they should be performing well, or do you think they are performing at the level they should be?
Well, earlier in the season, they were putting up 90, 95, even 100 points per game. And they started the season, only losing 3 of their first 12 games. And they're definitely underperforming right now.
They're really underperforming right now. Let's look at the Little East standings right now for the men. Eastern Connecticut right now is in the 1 spot at 11-1. Then you have Rhode Island that comes in at 8-4. UMass Dartmouth is 8-4, is in the 3rd spot. Keene State is 7-5, they're 4th. Western Connecticut is 5th, and they are 6-6. I don't think the men are making the NCAA tournament this year. The only way I believe they will make the tournament is if they win the Little East. And right now, Eastern Connecticut is on a tear. 11-1. That is fantastic. That's almost perfect. I don't think they have a shot at making the NCAA tournament.
Well, I think their only chance, and I still hold out hope, I don't know why, but I still hold out hope that maybe they can win these next 2 games and things may fall into place at the right time and they'll catch that last spot for the playoffs. You're right, it is going to be hard, but I think if they win both games, that definitely gives them their best shot.
So you're saying If they win out their last 2 games, they'll be 7 games over 500. You think that's enough to get into the NCAA tournament?
Well, like you said, for the women, 9 games is where you want to be. Like I said, if you're 7 games above, there's a chance. If the teams above you lose out and you win out, that's how you can get in, and WestConn's got to hope for that.
Well, I'm going to be the villain. I'm going to be the villain, and I'm going to say they have no shot. I'm sorry, WCSU men's basketball team, you have no shot. Even if you win out, that's only 7 games. Like we said about the women, you got to be at least 9 games over 500, in my opinion, even make it to the NCAA tournament. So I think they don't have a shot in the world to make the NCAA tournament. And I know that's a little hard for you to hear because you love the men's team, but I'm sorry, man, I don't think they're going to make it.
No, you're playing the devil's advocate, which is somebody needs to play. And your point is completely valid where it's going to be very tough for them to make it, but they have to win out. That's the bottom line.
They are, and honestly, I don't see them winning out because they have to play Eastern Connecticut and they have to play UMass Boston. And I just don't think, because they're both at the top of the league, Eastern Connecticut is first and UMass Boston is at the bottom of the league, but Eastern Connecticut's going to be their hardest game.
Exactly, and if you're WestConn and you lose even one of those games, you can forget the playoffs.
Oh, I just don't think they got a shot. But coming up next, guys, we're going to get into our new segment here on WestConn Sports Zone, Player Focus. We're going to look at 3 players in Connecticut for high school football that you need to keep on your radar. You guys are watching WestConn Sports Zone shot here at WCSU, Western Connecticut State University.
What did I get myself into?
Is this really worth it?
I told them I wanted to stop drinking.
Welcome back to WestConn Sports Zone, shot right here at Western Connecticut State University.
Just a reminder, you can catch the Sports Zone on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. on 91.7 FM WXCI, as well as on Charter Cable Channel 192.
We're going to get into our new segment here on WestConn Sports Zone. We're going to look at 3 high school football players that are taking their talents to the next level. Christian Wilkins out of Suffield Academy is a monster. He is going to Clemson. We're talking about a 6'5", 290 to 300-pound man. Pound for pound, one of the best and strongest athletes in the nation. I mean, this kid played tight end as well. This kid has a rare speed and strength combo for a player his size. In the nation, he's the highest rated recruit in the state of Connecticut. Rivals has him as their number 4 D tackle and number 21 player overall. ESPN has him ranked at their 6th D tackle and 32nd player overall. After watching the film, he bullies his competition. He's unstoppable at the high school level, and coaches rave about his work ethic. So I think, Chris, that the Tigers got a very good defensive tackle out of Wilkins. He's very good, and Clemson has been a school traditionally that has gotten some really good athletes, and especially at the D tackle position. Now onto the other side of the ball. We have Quinn Harris, a quarterback out of Taft High School. ESPN ranked him the 22nd QB overall. Harris is the best quarterback in the state. At 6 foot, Harris isn't the biggest guy, but he can make a lot of plays. He's a dual threat quarterback. He reminds me of Russell Wilson here, Chris.
Yeah, Pat, even though he doesn't have tremendous height, it's his arm and his speed that make the difference.
Harris will be off to Duke next fall. He chose the Devils over Boston College, UConn, and Yale.
Guy is smart and talented.
Yeah, he's a very smart kid. Our next athlete is Sharif Grice from Kingswood, Oxford in West Hartford. Grice stands about 6'1", 205 pounds. He's being recruited to play either running back or linebacker in college. Grice will be heading off to Boston College next fall. Chris, this is an interesting kid. He can play multiple positions, but where do you think Boston College is going to play him?
Well, I think it depends on a lot of things, Pat. A player like this can be great, but can also be a big chore to deal with because you can use him on both sides of the ball. You don't want to wear him out or not use him enough. So I think it's going to depend on the coaching and whatever schemes they come up with. Also, the depth of either position of the team will decide ultimately which side of the ball Grice plays on.
Yeah, we're starting to see more and more players in college football playing both ways, like we see at USC with Adoree Jackson, with Washington, with potential top 10 draft pick Shaq Thompson, and even J.J. Watt in the NFL. You're seeing it a lot now, even in the professional leagues.
Absolutely. The game is simply changing, and with science and new technologies, coaches, can get the most out of each athlete without overworking them. And some players are just freaks of nature.
Like Sharif Grice.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that wraps up our player focus. And coming up next on WestCon Sports Zone, we're going to get into professional sports. Peyton Manning has said that he's ready to play in 2015. And where will Ray Allen play after the next couple of weeks? Chris and I will get into that. Remember, you guys, you are watching WestCon Sports Zone Shot here at Western Connecticut State University.
When you think of jail, who do you see serving time?
A thief.
A murderer.
A drug dealer.
A kidnapper.
An embezzler.
If you serve minors, you could serve time.
All I did was let her drink.
Make the right decision.
Welcome back to the Sports Zone. Just a reminder, you can catch the Sports Zone on Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m. on WXCI 91.7 FM and the Charter Cable Channel 192. Now some news from the NFL. Peyton Manning told Denver Broncos officials, including General Manager John Elway, that he is physically and mentally prepared to play at a significant level in 2015. The two sides met to discuss Peyton's future in the NFL. And even though retirement remains an option for Manning, he didn't express that idea to Elway and Broncos officials. Manning, who turns 39 next month, received a comprehensive evaluation from renowned performance manager and trainer Mackie Shilstone. The quad injury that Manning was suffering last season is reportedly fully healed. Other sources have said that the Broncos are trying to restructure Manning's contract so they can make cap room for free agents Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, and Julius Thomas. In all, this is very good news for the Broncos because Peyton Manning is ready to play in 2015.
Now let's talk some National Hockey League. Henrik Lundqvist, the starting goalie for the New York Rangers, was sidelined with a sprained blood vessel as a result of taking a puck off the neck in a game a few weeks ago against the Hurricanes. Now, there's been some rumors that the team is looking for backup goaltending options to replace Lundqvist until his return in early March. Well, I don't think they need to look any further than their own backyard. Cam Talbot, of course, this guy has done it all. He's 5-1-1 since taking over, starting all 7 games in Lundqvist's absence. Also, the Rangers still have untested goalie Mackenzie Skapski. He's proven himself in the minors. In the American Hockey League this season, he's posted a 12-7-3 record with a sub 2.5 goals against average. Certainly a proven talent in that league. I don't think the Rangers have to look very far for goaltending.
Now for a story from the NBA. The New York Knicks have reached a buyout agreement with Amari Stoudemire, which ends his tenure as a Knick. And Amari has allegedly also committed to signing with the Dallas Mavericks after he clears waivers. Stoudemire was in his final season of a 5-year, $99.7 million contract with the Knicks. His new contract with the Mavs will not become official until Stoudemire clears waivers on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, making him a free agent. If someone clears him off waivers before, then they would have to take on his $23.4 million salary, essentially making the waivers process a formality. The Dallas Mavericks were reportedly actively pursuing Stoudemire. The Mavericks are in need of another big man off their bench behind their star Dirk Nowitzki. The Mavs can only offer Stoudemire the veteran minimum, but will likely be given a significant role off the bench and be a candidate to receive minutes playing behind Nowitzki at center and Tyson Chandler at power forward. The 6'10" Stoudemire is a 6-time All-Star and is averaging 12 points and 6.8 rebounds in 36 games for the Knicks this season, despite dealing with a variety of injuries. He missed 14 out of the last 18 games because of an ankle, wrist, and knee injury. The Dallas Mavericks can give him the best role and most playing time off their bench. That was a deciding factor in him allegedly agreeing to sign after he clears waivers. And honestly, it is a good move on their part. He will be able to play significant minutes and make a difference coming off the Mavericks bench.
Now it's time for a real hot topic in the NBA, Ray Allen. Ray Allen has no job right now with any team, but come 2 weeks, he might have a great chance of being on a contending playoff team. Now, the Cavaliers, the Hawks, and the Clippers are all in the running for Ray Allen. There's a few more that we'll get to in a little bit. Now, Ray Allen is a 40% shooter from three in his career, and he's the all-time leader in the NBA for three-pointers made. There's two big factors in play here. Number one, does Ray Allen want to keep playing that badly? And number two, if so, does he want to be on a good team? And the answer to that is most definitely yes. Ray Allen is going to want to be on a playoff team. You have to be a contender for Ray Allen to play. With that said, Pat, I feel that the Hawks are a great fit for Ray Allen. Now, I know a lot of people have different opinions on this other than the Hawks, but here's why I think they're a perfect fit. Now, the Hawks, their identity is that of all five players on the court are triple threats. You can admit that. Yes?
I can admit that. I can.
Okay. Now, all they're missing is a surefire backup for Kyle Korver. Imagine this. Ray Allen is your second dead-eye shooter. He drains threes whenever you want him to, and he brings a veteran leadership. I mean, what more can you want with the NBA's new favorite team in the Hawks? Ray Allen's a perfect fit, no?
All right, Chris, let me get some backstory though, because Ray Allen has been keeping in shape, and like you said, the Warriors, the Hawks, the Clippers, the Thunder, and especially the Cleveland Cavaliers are all in the mix right now to get Allen. But I honestly couldn't disagree with you more.
Really?
I think he's going to sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really do, because of two reasons. One, they're on a hot streak right now. They went in winning a lot of games into the All-Star break, and also they have the best player in the world, LeBron James. You cannot argue with that. And also, he has played with LeBron and Mike Miller on a championship team. Last year, he played on the team that went to the finals, and the previous year, he won the NBA championship with LeBron James. Why wouldn't you want to play with the best player in the world? So I honestly think that's his best choice. But I also think that he might sign with the Golden State Warriors, because Golden State is the best team in the NBA. I'm going to say that again. Best team in the NBA. You have Curry, and you also have Klay Thompson. Curry is probably the leading go-getter right now for the MVP.
Now, you're right. However, with the Warriors, they already have two great three-point shooters in Curry and Thompson.
But if you have Ray Allen coming off your bench and you have Curry and Thompson on your bench, you keep a three-point shooter on the court. And he is the best three-point shooter in NBA history. Why wouldn't you want that? And you know that the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Warriors are both going to the playoffs. So I think those are the best two options for Ray Allen. But I really think if he goes to the Hawks, he's not going to have an identity. Because that team has such cohesion of five players that can score 20 points anytime. Any of them can score 20 points. You saw Kyle Korver in the All-Star game. He was sensational. So I think if he goes there, he might ruin the whole magic they have there. And I think if he goes to Cleveland, he already knows how to win a championship with LeBron. And if he goes to Golden State, he can help them get to that next level. I honestly think those are his best two choices out of all the teams that want him.
Well, I mean, you make a great argument.
Oh, yes I do. And you make a good argument about the Hawks too, though.
You can't argue with what you said about the Hawks having cohesion, a lot of chemistry right now. You don't want to mess that up. That's a great point. And you almost swayed me in a way because, like you said, the Cavaliers used to play LeBron. I mean, That seems like a great option. So, in a sense, you've changed.
The biggest point of it all is, why wouldn't you want to play with the best player in the world? And the Cleveland Cavaliers, like I said, are hitting their stride right now. Irving's playing well. They're getting Love more in the offense. And that old drama of Love not getting enough minutes in the fourth quarter, they've changed that. So you really have a huge decision to make if you're Ray Allen. If I was him, I would pick the Cleveland Cavaliers. That would be my first choice, and then I'd go to the Warriors. I'd have to put the Hawks at third on my list. I'm not going to lie. But you make a very good point about the Hawks.
Only he knows where he's going.
Yes, he does. With the playing of the NBA All-Star Game, it officially marked the halfway point of the 2014-2015 season. Let's take a look at both the Eastern and Western conferences and looking at the standings. Right now, these are the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. The best team in the Eastern Conference is the Atlanta Hawks. Behind the Hawks is the second best team in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors, who are 6.5 games back. In third place, the Chicago Bulls are 9 games back. Then in fourth place is the Washington Wizards, who are 10 games back. Then you have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 10.5 games back, the Milwaukee Bucks at 10.5 games back, then the Charlotte Hornets at 20 games back, and currently in the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference is the Miami Heat at 20 games back. The teams fighting for that last playoff spot are Brooklyn at 21 games back and the Boston Celtics, who are 21.5 games back. Now here are the top 8 teams in the Western Conference. The best team in the Western Conference is the Golden State Warriors. Beyond the Warriors is the second best team, the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 4 games back. In third place is the Portland Trail Blazers at 7 games back. Then in fourth place is the Houston Rockets at 7 games back. In fifth place is the Dallas Mavericks at 8 games back. Then you have the Los Angeles Clippers at 8.5 games back, the San Antonio Spurs at 9 games back, and currently in the last playoff spot in the Western Conference is the Phoenix Suns at 14.5 games back. The teams fighting for that last Western Conference playoff spot are the Oklahoma City Thunder at 15 games back and the New Orleans Pelicans at 16 games back. Okay, Chris, let's get into it right now. Who do you think are going to be the top teams in the Eastern and Western Conference at the end of the season?
All right, well, let's start with the Eastern Conference. The Atlanta Hawks. What more can you say? I mean, they are far and away the best team in the Eastern Conference. And we talked about it earlier. They've got 5 guys on the court at all times who are triple threats, who can all score 20 points per game. I mean, you can leave it at that if you really wanted to. And for the West, I think the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
I do. Marc Gasol and Tony Allen on defense, and the whole defense of this team is what's winning all their games. And this is going to carry them to the division, or rather the conference win.
Okay, all right. I will agree with you on the Hawks because I think the Hawks are just a dynamic team that, like you said, any player on that team can score 20 points a night. My opinion on the Hawks is that Kyle Korver is their leader who can shoot sensational and many threes in a row. So you got to give the edge to the Hawks in the Eastern Conference. But I have to disagree with you in the Western Conference. I believe that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the Western Conference. Just because, one, right now, they're just playing at a higher level than anybody else. Stephen Curry, is playing the best basketball he has ever played in his career. He looks like the dominant player he was at Davidson. And also, you have another great player that can shoot threes, Klay Thompson. The man is fantastic. He set the record for most points scored in a quarter this year and had a career-high 51 points. So you got to give, in my opinion, the edge to the Golden State Warriors. But let's get into another question, Chris. Who do you think is going to be the MVP?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to mention one thing, Pat, and I thought it was really interesting. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors are both winning so many games, but they're doing it in completely different ways.
Oh, you were completely right.
Memphis with their defense and Golden State with the offense. It's just cool to watch how close they are in records, playing 2 different styles.
And you cannot say enough about Marc Gasol. Right. He made the NBA All-Star game this year. He is just a dominant force underneath. He could score 30 points a night if he really wanted to. He really could. And Tony Allen is an offensive machine, and he plays great defense on anybody that he's guarding. So I have to give you the point that the Grizzlies are a very good team. I just have to give that little edge to Golden State.
No, yeah.
But let's get back to that question. Who do you think is going to be the MVP this year?
Well, I don't think it's very hard to choose this year. There's a couple, there's a few viable options, but you've got to give it to the guy we've been talking about, Steph Curry. It's the bottom line. Steph Curry is the best player in the NBA right now.
I have to agree with you. He is scoring 23 points per game, 7.6 assists per game, and is shooting 90% from the free throw line. He is also shooting 48% in his field goal percentage. That is ridiculous.
If that doesn't scream MVP, I don't know what does.
No, it doesn't, but you got to give it to him. He is such an unselfish leader. You got to admit it. LeBron James, he wants to take over a game every night. That's the thing. But Curry can score 30 to 40 points a night if he really wanted to. But he doesn't. He gives the ball up because when you have a power threat like Klay Thompson right next to you on the court, you got to give it to him. Harrison Barnes is stepping up this year. So I think just because the unselfishness of Curry is going to win him the MVP. He could score 30 a night, but I think he wants to win more than his personal stats.
I completely agree with you, Pat. I think it's his teamwork and leadership that it's that intangible that's going to get him.
And I think that's why he was selected to the All-Star game as well. Now, in the All-Star game, he scored 27 points in the final round and scored 13 three-pointers in a row. That's second most in the three-point contest. The man is a fantastic scorer, and you got to give him the edge right now. Now, also, you got LeBron. I would even say Kyle Korver right now from the Atlanta Hawks is an MVP candidate.
And like you said, LeBron is always going to be in the discussion.
Oh, he's always going to be in the discussion. He's the best player in the world. But right now, I think Curry has the edge on him in this part of the season.
I agree.
We still have a half a season to go, but right now, Curry, in my mind, is the MVP. And that ends our show. Thank you for watching the Sports Zone shot right here at Western Connecticut State University.
We will be back in 2 weeks giving you the top news in sports from all over the world.
Thank you again for watching. I'm Patrick Higgins.
And I'm Chris Walker.
Have a great weekend, everybody.